We called her. Oh. 7 o'clock. Right on dot. Okay. Good evening. This is a meeting of the Southfield Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered as a community meeting. There is one opportunity for public participation during the meeting, and comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will listen to comments but may not respond during the meeting. If you wish to address the board, please submit a comment card immediately. Roll call, Ashanti Bland, Board President.
Good evening. Yvette Ware Duvall, Vice President.
Darrell B. Joyce, trustee.
Amani Johnson, trustee.
Michaela Beckford, student rep.
Eric Spraggin, student board rep.
And Trustee Smith Thomas will be absent for a family emergency. And our board treasurer, Talisha Belk, did have a death in the family, so she will be absent as well.
Representing the district, Jennifer Green, superintendent. Taking minutes this evening is Ms. Carolyn Foster, and we are supported with our technical services by M1 Studios.
So I'd like to start this meeting off with our board matters, and our first board matter will be to recognize Trustee Darrell B. Joyce. This is his last meeting, which will end almost a 10-year
10-year, 4 months.
10-year, 4-month
3 days.
servitude to the City of Southfield, the District of Southfield Public Schools, and the Board of Education. So on behalf of all of us, we'd like to say thank you for your service. Congratulations on your appointment to the Southfield Public Library Board, which I happen to be present for, so that was awesome. And we would just like to say thank you. You'll be missed. We know you'll be doing a lot of things in the community, so we won't miss you. We'll see you often. And this is just a token of our appreciation. And I'd also like to embarrass our Chief of Staff, James Jackson. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday, Mr. Jackson. I'd like to give a big shout out to our Southfield A&T Marching Band. They came in 3rd place at America's Thanksgiving Day Parade for Battle of the Bands. They did an amazing job, so thank you for that. Also would like to say thank you to our student board reps who actually went to City Council Monday night, and they did a great job. They represented well for us. So we have started that cadence now where our students will be not only presenting here at our board meetings, but they will also be highlighted at both Lathrop Village and Southfield City Council meetings. So those are my few things. Vice President, did you have anything for board matters?
I do not, but thank you.
Wonderful. Oh, I know I was going to leave this for the people who went. I believe Trustee Joyce, did you go to Metro Bureau?
Yes, I did.
And I believe Levy's choir performed at Metro Bureau this year. Is that correct? And I'm sure they did a great job. So I like to say shout out to Levy. They just so happened to be in the house tonight. There was one other performance that I'm missing, and it'll come back to me shortly. So I just wanted to say thank you. Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I believe it was at the City Lights.
It was our dance team, university dance, our choir, and our marching band all performed at the tree lighting last week, and it was 22 degrees, 16 with the wind chill. So shout out to our kids because they did an amazing job. I wouldn't have done it. Our dancers had on no shoes, no coats. It was cold out there, so they were troopers. So thank you to all of those who pour into our kids and support them. And I think that was it for Board Matters. Any other trustees?
I just want to say it was truly a pleasure being on the board and putting my time in. I came in with the sole purpose of representing our students. I came in walking in with civility and loving kindness, and I wanted to make sure that I shared that with everybody that came around and that I came in contact with. And so I'm going to truly miss being on this board. Yeah, yeah.
So next order of business is report of the student board representatives. And going first is Michaela Beckford from University K-12 Academy.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, I would just like to say how honored I am to start this tradition of speaking at both the Lathrop Village Council, for the Lathrop Village Council and the Southfield Council. I promise to carry on this tradition with the success and respect that I know you guys believe me to have. Now, for December, here are the past as well as current events at University K-12 Academy occurring this month. So we started off with an Underground Spirit Week, which our staff participated in a secret staff-only Spirit Week with themed days such as Blackout Day, Crazy Socks, Anything But a Cup, and Royalty Day. Most students weren't able to recognize the day, but once we saw our teachers in crowns and Crocs, it was easier to piece it together. Now, the toy drive, organized by Student Council, ended on Friday, December 6th, with all proceedings donated to Kennedy's Village. I would like to take a second to thank all who donated and Student Council members who spent their time wrapping the gifts. There was also a holiday wrapping party, part 2, on Saturday from 12 to 3 with Ms. Smith, our new Student Council advisor, being present the entire time as students wrapped gifts, built community morale, and earned volunteer hours, which are required for graduation. On December 2nd, the We Accept You Club held a bake sale and raised money for National World AIDS Day. And also, I would love to give a big congratulations to all of our student council members who are recently accepted into the club, and I cannot wait to work with you all on many more projects. Speaking of said projects, Student Council has come up with a few ideas for this month. Starting off with Deck the Doors/halls, the elementary and high school will be decorating their respective hallways, and middle school will be decorating their seminars, and judging will take place on the 20th. And actually, me and Dean Bolden were conversating, and instead of having just our staff and faculty, even though their opinions definitely matter to us, we wanted to open up judging, which will take place on the 20th, to the board interested in coming over on the 20th to, judge the hallways and the doors and, along with our faculty. So if you are, just let me know. Also, we have our countdown to break, and it's a Spirit Week. It's a 10-day long event with Monday being Candy Cane Day, and today was Flannel Day. And I am so excited to see who has the most school spirit as the days unfold. So with elementary events, November 25th, Ms. Grady and Ms. Moltner, first grade classes read Balloons Over Broadway, which is a true story about Tony Sagg, who invented the balloons for the Macy's Day Parade. Before this revolutionary invention, they used to use real animals in the parades, but it would scare the kids, so he thought balloons would be the next best thing. The first grade class did a project-based learning activity where they learned to design a city, and also we have reinstated the Benson Safety Patrol, which the older elementary students, 4th and 5th graders, were able to apply for, and they can assist during lunch, recess, and dismissal. And as a former safety patrol myself, I am excited to see what leadership they bring. For middle school events, we have a whole bunch of basketball success. Both boys and girls teams won their championships, with scores being 30-3 and 38-8, respectively. And Ms. Nelson's class presentation, which advocated for calm spaces and learning environments to support kids with ADHD. And especially, I would also love to give a special highlight to this group who have gone unnoticed in my reports for a long time, and I do apologize. Our incredible University K-12 cheer team, who have been bringing energy and spirit and talent to everything they do, led by coaches Kayla, who is our very own alumni from the class of 2023, who currently attends U of M, Coach Angela and Coach Chrislin, and also currently a student at the U, Maya Marshall. The teams include JV and varsity and an elite compete team who won with 2 first-place titles from last season under their belt. They are gearing up for an exciting season with 6 competitions, including 4 under the MHSSA, SAA. Don't miss their first competition on December 20th at 6 p.m. at Renaissance, where they'll showcase their skills and make history. Even over the summer, many of the cheerleaders excelled on dual teams representing their love for cheer with pride. This is a moment to shine, and let's cheer them on to greater heights. Now, with high school events, on November 26th, the seniors held their very first sporting event, a student versus staff dodgeball game. This event had a great turnout, with staff securing another victory, possibly with questionable tactics. Yeah, the middle school winners, 7th grade, and the high school winners were freshmen, also played but lost to the teachers. And the intermission featured live dancing for all. Then there's also the Junior Optimist International, sponsored by our very own Mr. Carey. This inclusive group organizes, promotes optimism and respect while engaging in community service. This year, it welcomed 34 charter members, and the program also helps students complete their required volunteer hours for graduation. In our upcoming events, December 12th, join us as we celebrate the FAFSA with our dynamic scholars and their families. The FAFSA week will consist of personalized support throughout the week and highlight on common questions and FAFSA Day. It will be on Thursday, December 12th. There will be an AM session for parents and caregivers only, an afternoon session during seminar for our students, and then an evening session at 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., open to both students and parents. The AM session time is to be determined, but it will be out shortly. Also, the December 13th at 9:30 a.m., the elementary will have their winter sing-along. On December 13th, the University Middle School and High School will present their winter concert. And also, special thanks to Mr. Lucia for continuing this tradition. On December 19th, middle school and high school will have their winter performance as well. And December 13th to December 17th, the PTSA has been doing a Double Good fundraiser. And if you need the code, let me know. I have it. And also, on December 21st to January 5th will be our winter recess. That is my report.
Good job. Trustees, any questions for Michaela Beckford? Hearing none. Our next representative is Eric Spraggins from Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology.
Thank you. Warriors PTSA annual shoe drive have been extended for 2 more weeks. They want you guys and everyone to help us reach our goal of collecting 500 pairs of shoes by participating on the following dates: December 5th, December 12th, and December 19th. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., they'll be picking up shoes from the Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology. Student Council initiatives. At our OA meeting, students made blankets for those in need, and we hosted our second blood drive of the year on November 20th, collecting a total of 57 pints of blood, potentially saving up to 171 lives. We created 8 Thanksgiving baskets to provide meals for families in need within our own district, and we can proudly say that that was a success. The culinary students prepared apple pies for the staff as a token of appreciation before Thanksgiving break, and let me just say, I did sneak and get a piece. And it was delicious, so I'm very proud of the culinary department for that. Our marching warriors earned an impressive 3rd place finish at America's Thanksgiving Parade, showcasing their talent and dedication. Congratulations to the band, auxiliary, and directors for representing Southfield A&T with pride. And just a reminder for the parents who are watching online that Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology requires community service hours for graduation. For this senior class, it will be 15 hours, and for senior class of 2026 and beyond, it will be 20 hours. Students must submit their volunteer login to their counselor by senior checkout. And for those parents who are wondering where students can find out information to get their community hours service, please make sure that your students are checking their emails for the various opportunities that are offered for their senior volunteer hours. Senior events and information. Cap and gown and diploma cover option 2 is now available for $95, and that deadline will be January 31st, 2025. Senior Penny is February 12th, 2025. Senior Prom will take place on May 29th, 2025. Graduation will be June 6th, 2025. And our event that's next week will be our lip sync, and really is very proud to have, because I can't really sing, so I can lip sync, so that's very good. That'll take place next week on December 19th for 5th and 6th hour, and the cost is $10 per person. Yearbooks are on sale for $75. The deadline for that will be December 14th. After this date, the price increases to $85. Athletic updates, wrestling. Our wrestling team returned after several years competing in their first match on December 7th. Our boys basketball team, after falling to ref reunion, our boys bounced back with a victory against Centerline on December 6th. Our girls basketball played their first game on December 6th, led by 3 strong seniors, and are off to an exciting start, and are actually playing right now at Southfield High School. Competitive cheer, building on last year's success, our team welcomed talented freshmen, promising another strong season. Bowling, despite graduating many players, our team looks forward to another impactful season. And our swimming team, led by 2 dedicated seniors, our swim team is poised for a success this season. I would like to congratulate Addison Spears, who is the winner of the C2 Pipeline T-shirt design contest. Her design embodies creativity and was really something to showcase that evening. Career and college support, new staff members, Morgan, who is a college advisor, who is a University of Michigan graduate, and another person who runs our career and education navigator for Oakland 80 Initiative is a Michigan State University graduate with over 20 years of experience. Some of these services that will be offered for our students in the building is college advising, help with FAFSA, applications, research, and representative visits. And they will also prepare you for career readiness with resume writing, job shadows, and career planning. You can visit that room for the students in room D201, Tuesday and through Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. for support. And a look ahead, December 6th was our dance recital at 6:30 p.m. over at the Southfield High School. December 13th will be the fine arts at 6:30 p.m. December 19th will be Cheat Codes, which is where we welcome alumni to come talk to our students, to talk about all the amazing things they have done and encourage us. It's called Your Future, Your Way. December 19th will be Lip Sync event, 5th and 6th hour. And December 23rd to January 3rd, we will be on winter recess for winter break. Additionally, I would like to announce some of the things of Student Athlete of the Week. For our boys basketball team, we have Braylon Reed, who went for 19 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 steals over Centerline Prep. For our girls basketball, Samaya Asford for a great all-around performance in the win over Groves. Our bowling team, Josiah Taylor for a great performance in bowling on both the boys and girls team. And wrestling, Kenneth Brooks, who went undefeated and came in first place. That concludes my report, and thank you.
Great job. Trustees, do we have any questions for Eric this evening? Hearing none, I do want to thank you for continually lifting the community service hours. I think that a lot of parents don't recognize that it is a requirement to graduate, and also the additional assistance we have for FAFSA. So hopefully our community that is watching on YouTube and for the parents that are here recognize that we do have those services available. So thank you both for your reports. You did a wonderful job. You need to go do homework? Yes. If you want to stay, you know you're more than welcome, but if not, you may exit now, and thank you again. You're welcome. Drive safely. Up next is the report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Board President, trustees, and community assembled. We are very proud of all of the amazing things happening in our district, and it is our commitment to showcase several of those things at each board meeting for our community to see. Last month, we had an opportunity to hear from Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology, and this evening, we have our Levy Jaguar team here to present. So joining us at the microphone, Levy Jaguars.
Isn't this so nice? Thank you. More information. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Green, Superintendent Dr. Green, Board President Bland, Vice President Duvall, Trustees Joyce, Johnson, and Holloway. Thank you for having us this evening. We will not be before you long. As many of you know, Levy is at this podium a lot, talking about all the wonderful things that we're doing. So this is just a snapshot, and we are honored to be here to spread, you know, the good news of all the wonderful things that we are doing at Levy. So this is our, the heart of who we are. Celebrating growth, achievement, and community, and building a culture of excellence is what we thrive at Levy Middle School. And to do that, it takes not only myself, but Assistant Principal James Miller. We have Mr. Blankenship over culture and diversity. And in the audience, we do have our support team here, Mrs. Gwilt, who's always here, and always after school, she's here. So we appreciate your support this evening. So we're going to start with our profile. And this is what Levy is all about. We are a STEAM school. It's a school within a school. Our STEAM program are scholars that are high achievers. However, every student in Levy has an opportunity to have a STEAM experience. And that's been our vision. That's been my vision for 7 years since I've been there, that every student would have a STEM experience. So all of our students have a STEM elective at some point. Then we have special education programs. We have a variety of special ed programs in our building. We have ASD, CI, regular resource room, and also we have, regular resource room, that's it. We don't have EI anymore. Then we also offer a transformative class offerings. We have several class offerings. Again, we have STEM, we have art, we have band, we have choir, we have math lab, we have critical thinking. Am I missing one? I think that's it. Okay. And also what makes us special is that we are the only traditional middle school in Southfield Public Schools. So these are some of the areas we're going to highlight. And again, we could be here for an hour, but we've been told that we only have about 15 minutes. So I'm looking at Dr. Freeman. She's reminding me of that. So we're just going to, again, give you a snapshot of these items here. And that is our academic excellence, our social and emotional learning, restorative practice and school safety, student engagement and leadership, extracurricular activities, community and family involvement, Beethoven, our therapy dog, global learning experiences, our scorecard pillars, and the vision for the future. So I'm going to start with academic excellence. As mentioned before, these are our classes that are offered in our STEM, those students that are in our STEM program. We have coding, we have our robotics team, and all the other classes where you see intensive in front of them, mean that those are classes that are rigorous. Those are for, like our AP classes for high school, that's for middle school. That's our AP classes. So when we're looking at our academic performance, we're looking at continuous improvement and targeted interventions. What we have at Levy is we have a Title I program. We also have tutoring for our scholars that the teachers do right now voluntarily before and after school. We are currently in January working on getting our tutoring program that we used to use Title I funds for, but we don't have those Title I funds now, but we do have funds that are coming in, thanks to Mrs. Caldwell, to give us that, those resources, because our scholars do take advantage of those programs. But right now, what we have is our Title I and also, again, our tutoring for our teachers that volunteer, and also academic enrichment, which is like seminar in the high school, where students have an opportunity to reach out for support during that time. Then we have our iReady assessments, which we use also to determine where our scholars, where those gaps are. They also have individualized plans. They practice iReady skills daily in all of our classes. And they also can do this at home. We also have our 8th graders who take the PSAT. They took it in a practice PSAT just this past fall, and then they'll take it again in the spring. We also have M-STEP, which our 6th and 7th graders take for ELA and math, and our 8th graders, they also take the M-STEP with, just for social studies. The information I passed out to our board members, you will see on the right side, is just a snapshot of our information, our test results from last school year. We did not put this school year in. And the reason for that is because really when you look at the data, you're comparing apples and oranges, because we're talking about a different group of students, different group of scholars. So we are more than happy to share that information with you at a later date, but that's just a snapshot of also the PSAT and the M-STEP that they took last year. The iReady information that you see are what our scholars took this past fall. They take that 3 times a year. You've heard it before. They take it in the fall, the winter, and then the spring.
All right, good evening, everyone. This portion of our PowerPoint or our presentation is building emotional intelligence and leadership. So I want to highlight just a few things that we do at Levy. The first I want to actually give kudos or shout out Dr. Green. As you can see on the screen, one thing I want to highlight first is a Take Flight personality assessment. I want to say last year during one of our professional developments, Dr. Green came to Levy Middle School to conduct this assessment with our entire staff. And this personality trait we feel is very, very helpful as it relates to the emotional intelligence. As we all know, when you know more about yourself and others, especially those who you work around, even your family members, you are more confident and you can work together as a team. So a couple of the birds that you see actually on the screen, we have the eagle, the parrot, the dove, and the owl. I am an owl, so sometimes it takes me a little time to process some things, asked a lot of questions before I actually make actual, I want to say, a judgment, or before I actually, I guess, take flight and go about my day or a situation that I may encounter. But I want to highlight this because Principal Jackson, she actually, I want to say maybe a couple of weeks ago, she gave a workshop to our students, our entire school. So all of our students actually know who they are, what bird represents them as well. And I think this is very helpful for that emotional intelligence for the students. And later on in the school year, she also will give a workshop to our parents. So we think that's very important. We get to know more about our entire family. And I want to kind of really highlight that the main part is really building relationships. The more you know about yourself and others, you can really build that relationship. Next, I want to highlight our weekly house meetings that we will go into a little bit deeper throughout the presentation. Every week, every Friday, we have house meetings. It's our 8th hour, our last hour of the day, where our students all belong to a particular house. I know it's maybe hard to read on the screen, but we have Altruismo that's in black. We have, yes, Mr. Blankenship and Miss Jackson. So I'm outnumbered here. Well, you have another one. In the red, you have Amistad, so I'm Team Amistad. In the green, you have Isabendi, and then Miss Groot, our STEM teacher, she represents Revert, the Blue House. But once again, every Friday, our last hour of the day, our students will go to their respective houses, and they have activities that help build the leadership, also help build that emotional intelligence, that confidence that our students need, and not just our students, our staff members as well. Lastly, what I want to highlight is every month we have empowerment sessions. We also have what's called our Jaguar meetings, and we do this during our lunchtime. Jaguar meetings takes like maybe around 10 minutes, where Principal Jackson, myself, and Mr. Blankenship pretty much discuss things events that are going on in the school, may talk about some things that our students need to work on. And after that, we break out into our empowerment sessions. In our empowerment session, myself, Mr. Blankenship, we take the young men, Principal Jackson, and our counselors take the young ladies. So whatever they discuss in their meetings, that's for them. And then also what we discuss in our meetings, for the most part, is empowering our students, give them student voice. We also work with the soft skills as well, for us having them stand up, present, how to present themselves, how to shake hands, and all of that, once again, is to build on their leadership skills.
Just so, I forgot to mention too, board members, you have a presentation, a copy of the presentation. If you have any questions next to any slide, that's what those lines are for. If you could just jot those down at the conclusion of this presentation, if you have any questions for us. Thank you. Okay. Okay, good. All right, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gray.
Good evening. Restorative practices and school safety is what I'll be discussing with you guys this evening. Fostering a safe and supportive school environment, fostering is development. We work very hard at Levy at trying to make sure we do develop our young people daily, and we do it as a family, and we do it with love. Fostering and making sure everybody feels safe, making sure our students feel supported, and make sure our school environment is an environment where you're comfortable. If any of you ever have been to Levy, you'll notice when you first walk in, Ms. Jackson, when the music being played. And the music is pretty exciting, and it's welcoming, and it's dance friendly. So that's the first thing you'll notice. And if you haven't been, you'll get it when you do get a chance to come by. I promise you'll enjoy it. But we do everything with a family. We do everything with love, and making sure that our environment is a comfortable and loving environment for our students first and foremost, and for any visitors that decide to come by and see us, they get a chance to be able to feel that as well. It's important that we know, and that you know when you come in, that it's a good place to be. Restorative circles for students and staff. The funny thing about our students is they are going to tell. Okay, and that's something that's great for us. It's something that we appreciate. It's we feel like it's a balance that we've created. It's a foundation that we've created for our students to give them the comfort and knowing we want them to be comfortable in telling us what's going on, talk to us about what's going on, so that we can be able to deal with these issues that may happen, and as we know they do happen. So we have restorative circles that we use for our students when they have issues with each other. Instead of them having to use violence of any kind or any kind of physical aggression, they're allowed to come and speak with us. We will sit down, myself, Ms. Jackson, Mr. Miller, and we will mediate those meetings and allow our students to have a voice, which is very important because they feel safe in being able to discuss what the problem is. They know they'll have an opportunity to be able to talk and get their part out, and you can avoid all issues once you get that taken care of in that way. So we're very, very happy about that, and it's been working really well for us the last few years, of course. Also, as you guys know, we've had some things happen at our school recently, and our staff has been able to use our restorative circles and been able to talk with each other and work through things with difficult situations as well. So our staff have been able to use the process of restorative circles as well. Campus safety initiatives, and okay to say, I will be remiss in not mentioning Mr. Greg Steffens. He is our school security officer. So he's the first person you see when you drive up. And if you're not driving in the right area, he's going to let you know. So we appreciate him. We appreciate everything that he does for us and being that first person that you run into when you first get there. And he works very hard at doing so. And of course, as a family, again, and us being a family, we make sure and we work hard at making sure that safety is the most important thing. The world is a different place now, and we all understand that. And it's very important that our students know that they're safe. It's very important that the staff know that they're safe. And we make sure and we work very hard at making sure everyone feels that way. Okay to Say program, which is a very, very successful program that we've been able to use over the last few years. Ms. Jackson has it in place that our kids get a chance to listen to the program itself twice a year. And what it does is allows our students to be able to call the state police and discuss if there is a serious matter going on, and as opposed to them coming to us or talking to someone and they may feel uncomfortable, they call okay to say, then relays the message to myself, Ms. Jackson or Mr. Miller through a phone call and or email, and then we're able to jump on whatever that issue is before it becomes something serious in situations like that. So we really, really like what okay to say has been able to do for us, and we are definitely using it consistently now going forward. Thank you.
Mr. Blankenship forgot to say that we will be doing it only once a year now because some of our scholars, when we have those assemblies, they begin to call okay to say for everything. So we feel that they got the message, so we're going to do it once a year. We won't be doing it twice a year. Student engagement. So this is really the heart of, this has become the heart of who we are at Levy. And thanks to Mrs. Gwilt, who came into my office 3 years ago and said, let's do this. Let's go to Atlanta. Let's have house system. And I was on board because I had already researched Ron Clark myself years ago. So our house model, 4 houses, 1 family. So even though we're very competitive, you guys can see everyone's shouting out their house. We're very competitive. The kids are very competitive. So it's good competition though. It's friendly competition, but we do take it very seriously. Students uphold each other, hold each other accountable. As Mr. Miller stated, this is an opportunity for uniting not only students but also staff. So staff did not have an opportunity to choose their house. They were sorted in a house randomly. Initially, they were not happy. They wanted to be in the house with their friends, like the kids, and I stood my ground and said no. So now that it's a mixture, you're not with your friends every Friday, 8th hour, but you are building relationships with people that you normally wouldn't see on the other side of the building. So it's funny now that everyone has had the training. Everybody's bought into their house. Like they're wearing the red, they got decals sold on their blazers. So it's a lot different than when we first started 3 years ago. Then we have points for teamwork, leadership. Students are able to get that. I'll talk about that in the next slide. The Amazing Shake competition. And I know Ms. Wood is sitting there, want to say something so bad about that. But we do need volunteers. So if you're available, I know some board members, President Bland and Dr. Green always sign up. But we need, and Mr. Joyce, every year they've been there. So we need, and Ms. Holloway was there last year too. But Ms. Wood is looking at that list, and if you haven't signed up, please sign up. Because we're getting near, it's February 5th and 6th, and typically we have about 65 adults in our building, so we need as many volunteers as possible. Amazing Shake is an opportunity for students to demonstrate their soft skills. They are actually scored at that time on handshake, eye contact, the way they speak clearly, loudly. It is phenomenal, and it is amazing. That's why it's called the Amazing Shake. You will be blown away. So if you can participate in that, please do so. And then again, this is an opportunity for leadership and collaboration. So this is the house system. I'm going to dive deep into this. I had to put this slide in there just so you can see that there's an app. And each time a student, for example, I'll go through the bullets first and I'll go into more detail. Levy's house system promotes leadership opportunities for all students. Each house has a leader who guide their peers, fostering responsibility and collaboration. So students run the house system. They run the houses, the meetings, with the support with staff, of course. But that's their opportunity to show their leadership skills. Student leaders play active roles in organizing events and building school spirit. So they are organizing events, like we have, sometimes we have competition against each house. So they plan those things. If we want to party, they have to plan those things as well. Our house system motivates students to excel in academics, behavior, and attendance. So this is where the app comes in. So our students have an opportunity to earn points. They can earn points from anyone in the building that has the app. So it can be the custodian, it could be the lunch aide, it can be bus drivers, if they're caught doing something. And it's hard to earn a lot of points. So when you do something like open the door for a teacher, or you see a teacher struggling with their bags and you help, you don't get like 3 points for that, you get 1 point. And if you ask for a point, you don't get any points at all. So they really have to work hard. And as you can see from the point the leaderboard here, Rivera is in first place. Yes, I forgot, Dr. Freeman is also in the House of Rivera. So they're in first place. It was last week when I did the presentation. So I say all that to say is that students watch this because we have the leaderboard up in the building. So when they get a point, their parents, if they signed up, they get notification that their scholar received a point. Again, it could be for test scores. It could be you made the honor roll. The only time students get a lot of points if we have the most students in our house that made the honor roll. So you know why Rivera got first place. But the good thing is that if they do anything, they get the point. So, for example, you can see Turismo for some reason is in last place. But what I have students come up and say, why are we in last place? I said, well, you got to step your game up. You know, you got to shine. You got to be that student that go the extra mile. That's how we get the house points. So at the end of the year, this house that has the most points, all the other houses have to throw them a big party. Points earned through achievement, encouragement, and culture and success of recognition. I'm telling you, the point system is one of the best things that we've ever done because the students are watching. And parents are too. Extracurricular activities, yep.
All right, I'm back. Extracurricular activities at Levy, opportunities and growth. Opportunities for growth and engagement. As you can see, we have a lot of different opportunities and resources for our students, things for them to do, to stay engaged and feel good about what they're doing every day. Our students, and students in general, love to feel like they're a part of something. So this allows that to happen. We have girls and boys basketball. We have boys and girls track. We have boys and girls volleyball, and then we have girls cheer. We have our STEM program, robotics, Ms. Gwilt, who's sitting here with us. Our art club, who's ran by a wonderful and amazing art teacher and Ms. Walker. Our band is one of the best bands in the country, in my opinion. I know they want to say it's one of the best in Southfield. It's one of the best I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of bands, and it's pretty special with Mr. Jeff Smith, who does an amazing job. And then our choir is ran by our esteemed recording artist, who's actually one of our teachers, and she's amazing as well. And what she's able to do with our students and having them do so amazingly in singing, and Mary Wynn. Ms. Jackson mentioned the house system and how it's fostering and leadership and the impact it has with teamwork. And obviously, everything that our kids are able to do, it brings us such a great balance with the culture that we try to develop and the growth that we try to have in our building. With them having things to do and things to look forward to, it makes our building so much better, and it makes them wanting to be there that much better as well.
Yes, and I want to lift what Mr. Blankenship just stated. So we have many times parents that would like to pick their kids up early. In our house meetings, 8th hour, I've seen kids debate with their parents in the office, like, we having a house meeting, why are you picking me up early? So sometimes the parents will leave them just because they know that they're going to miss out for house meeting. Community and family involvement.
All right, the owl in me is looking at the time. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we're almost there. All right, so once again, like I stated before, relationships is very important at Levy. So our community partners will once again be very important as well. So you can kind of look on the screen and see we have a plethora of community partners. I just want to highlight a few. One is Tamaroff Honda, that's not too far from where we are now on Telegraph and 12 Mile. And each month, Tamaroff sponsored a teacher. We recognize a teacher of the month, and they come out and during our school-wide house meeting, and we recognize that teacher in front of the entire school. And if a teacher, when they are recognized for the teacher of the month, I wish I haven't been recognized yet. 3 free oil changes. Tamaroff, he looks like 3 free oil changes, as well as 3 car washes and tire rotation. Yes, and not only that, Ms. Bland, they will come out to pick up the car. So it's not like you have to, our teachers have to drive it down, Telegraph. They will come pick it up. So we think that's very impressive. So once again, that's how we continue to build those community partners. And I want to mention that when we met with them earlier in the year, we want to have our students that win, or our top 5 students that in amazing shape will also go down to Tamaroff and maybe have a mock where they can sell a car. So we're pushing the envelope and going even higher with our students. Another community partner that I want to mention is Jeffrey Feiger. Our students had the opportunity last year to visit the law firm to learn more about law, and as well as they participate in a mock debate. And I want to say that it was a particular topic that had never been, I guess, won before, and our students, I guess they were on the negative with that debate, but they actually won. And so they were very, very impressed by our students. I want to say one of our students was a resource student as well. All right, thank you, Ms. Wilk. All right, so to kind of keep it moving a little bit more, community and family involvement, we do home visits at Levy. We most definitely, before we go and visit a student's household, we call the parent and ask the parent if they are comfortable with us coming to their home, or we can meet someone else as well, or meet somewhere else as well. Our parents, student, staff, and substitute teacher, we have surveys that Ms. Jackson. We pride ourselves on making sure that when students come, or we have events, parents come, and also our staff and our substitute, we want to hear more from them. So the survey is a way for us to continue, because we're not perfect, continue to improve on anything that we feel is not working. And then the last thing I want to mention is just that collaboration and engagement that we continue to have at Levy, and we want to continue that with our community involvement. All right, Levy lovely ladies, that tongue twist, is something else when we empower our young women through leadership and character building. This is something that takes place after school, so that's the mentoring program, and also our mega mentoring boys to men, supporting our young men in developing leadership, academics, and social skills. When I mentioned before about our empowerment programs, like I mentioned, that's in school during the school day, and these are our programs that we have outside of school.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Oh, Beethoven. So Beethoven, as you guys know, is our therapy dog. He couldn't be here this evening. I will say he might need to be retrained, because the teacher that keeps him has him spoiled rotten. But he is the kids love him. They ask about him all the time. He's a great addition to, again, our school culture. And he makes a difference. And we just love Beethoven. This is Beethoven at work. He did some community work with U of M residency students. And also that's him in the halls doing hall duty. And then at the bottom, he's in the classroom. And then right here, you see this smart dog here? He chose Altruismo. So he is in the house of Altruismo. So he got extra treats that day. But that is Beethoven. We love Beethoven. But he's a great addition to our Levy learning community. Global learning experiences. Okay, this is the first year, and again, this is aligned with Ron Clark, the Ron Clark House System, because each year Ron Clark takes his kids on an international experience. So once again, Ms. Gwilt saying we're going out of the country, Jackson. So I said, let's do it. So this is give our students an opportunity to develop global citizenship and cultural awareness. This year we're going to Italy. Next year we're going to Japan and Costa Rica. Well, year and a half, giving our parents some time to save up for those trips. So this is towards the end of our presentation, the Levy Scorecard, Pillars of Excellence. So these are the 3 pillars. We meet every Monday, our BNT meeting, Building Network Team meeting, every Monday. And Dr. Freeman was able to attend one of our meetings this year, so thank you, Dr. Freeman, for that, to see how we address each of these pillars. So our pillars are student achievement, people and culture service, engage and supportive community. In your folders, you will see a scorecard. This is just a snapshot of that scorecard. So basically what we do is we take a look at, we have identified those 3 pillars, we identify focus areas, and then we revisit those every 45 days. So for student achievement, we're looking at our iReady scores, because we know there, again, as Mr. Miller stated, there are some areas we need to improve. PSAT, M-STEP growth, we're looking at that. Even though they only take those assessments once or 3 times a year. We're still looking at what can we do. Then you people in culture service, we're looking for staff retention. Levy has not had an issue with staff retention, thank God. However, we do have staff that are retiring because everyone is up there in age right now. So we have, in years of service. Yes, thank you, Dr. Green, for that correction. Years of service. But we do have a lot of staff, and I'll say this, they love Levy, that they're on the fence. Some people could have retired years ago. They're like, we're going to give you one more year, Jackson. So we appreciate that. But it is important to focus on that because whatever we do in the building determines if staff wants to stay. So we work hard. That is still one of the pillars that we pay close attention to because what we do as a team, we want to keep staff there. So we do. We do keep our staff retention is good. Then professional development, offering that to staff and SCL, and then also behavior. We're looking at student behavior. So it's aligned with MTSS. We're looking at all these things that makes the whole child, right? We're looking at the whole child. So we're looking at grades, we're looking at behavior, and we're also looking at attendance. And then we're also looking at engaged community, parent feedback, event participation, how many parents participate. As Mr. Blankenship said, we have the best band in the world. Parents show up for the band, but it's hard for them to get out to my parent universities. So we're trying to work on that. That is the area where we're working on, and you'll see where we are in each of those pillars. And I also included I think I included that in there, some surveys because, again, we do have surveys for even our substitute surveys. And I will say, because we take pride in this, we have 2 staff members where their students attend our school, which says a lot, because if you bring your own child to your school where you work, that says a lot about what's going on. We have some fantastic things that are going on. Then also we have subs that have kids in our schools, and they come back, and they come back, and sometimes I think they work there. They're on the payroll permanently, but they come back. So we give a survey, even if they come back 3 or 4 times, they get a survey every time they come. Because again, we talk about that as a team to see what areas we need to improve because we're not perfect and we don't think that we're perfect. But it gives us feedback on areas we need to adjust. And as you see, you are always welcome to come by because Ms. Keller keeps those in a binder. You can look in the binder. I didn't pick all the good ones. It was just, there was so many good ones. I said, let me just put a few in there. But seriously, that's what our subs say. Our subs say they'd love to come back to our building. So that speaks volumes on what we're doing. So thank you for your attention and support. We welcome your questions, feedback, and suggestions at this time.
So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being thoughtful with your presentation. I love the addition of the surveys because that gives a bird's eye view on what people who aren't in the building every day think about how you operate the building. And I just wanted to bring one more thing to lift real quick. I do come to some of your buildings as much as I can, and I've never come to Levy and it wasn't clean and didn't smell good. And I think, and seriously, no, when you bring people into your building, it's a reflection on the pride that you take. And so I think it speaks volumes that your children keep your building clean as well. I see them picking up paper and picking up their coat. I've never walked in your building and not been greeted by a staff member immediately. Your secretary is always kind, and your classrooms are always full. The children always say hello, good morning, they're respectful. So past all of the data, you have a culture of really cultivating good people, which I think is important because what they do in school normally is what they do out of school. And so I just wanted to appreciate you guys and tell you how much I appreciate that it's consistent.
Thank you
Right?
for that. Thank you for that.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to echo a lot of the sentiments that President Bland has expressed to you all as a team. Thank you for nurturing the culture and developing a culture that the kids are prideful for and of. It really says a lot to being transparent to the surveys, and as you said, you just pulled out any surveys, but that is important to bridge the gap. between a shortage of teachers in a little while as everyone retires because of years of service, and bringing in new and energetic teachers, right? So I appreciate that, and thank you for including that in our packet, and congratulations on a great year.
Thank you.
Through the chair. This is a fascinating presentation.
Thank you.
I could listen to it all day. I could listen to you guys all day.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask about the community and family involvement. When you go to the homes, what are you focusing on when you speak to the family members?
Well, many times it may be a student that not necessarily is struggling. It may be, we had three, we talked about this today. We had 3 students that lost their mothers in our just in a year. And just to offer that support. But many times if we have a student that's struggling, it can be behavior, it could be attendance, just to find out how we can support them. As Mr. Miller stated, some families are not comfortable with us coming, so we'll meet them at the Southfield Public Library, places like that. But just letting them know they can see us outside of the building as that we are partners and we're there to support. Yeah, just building the relationship. We're big on building relationships. And like we tell students, when you violate, especially the space that we are, you have violated that relationship and you have to build it back. But we take pride on that because we tell them this is a brand. You embarrass the brand. So we're big on telling students that and how important that is. So it's just building those relationships with parents.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Lastly, I just want to add, thank you for being that village, but just be careful when you're
Oh,
out in the
yeah.
public and you're, at.
Oh, we do. You
at
see
other-
these two being right here? They can take now.
Thank
I
you.
never go without them.
Understand, but thank you, and please be careful and mindful of that.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, trust me and believe me, we've stood on the porch before and had a conversation at the door, so.
Great job, and hopefully the next time I come and you all come, Beethoven will finally make it
To work.
back.
He's been there
to
last
us.
couple of days, Bled. I keep telling you to come. Also, you have a small token, as you know, we like to bring, because again, building relationships and small gifts. So you have something on your, in front of you. And I'm going to take Belks and Thomas, because they're not here. But, yeah, and because he got to take the assessment. Did you take it personally?
He took it this evening.
He took it a little
Took it today?
late, just a
Okay,
tad bit
you took it
late.
today? Okay, I'll call you.
He is
What-
an owl.
You're Al?
He's an owl.
Oh, you're Al.
He's an owl.
Yeah.
He knew.
I tried.
Okay, that's okay. We got you, Trustee Johnson.
That's the other thing, you can identify
Yeah,
other
we can.
birds and people.
Thank you. And our
So-
students can too, because I heard a student tell another student, oh, that period is coming out of you today.
That is
So, they do it too.
awesome. BP, if I could just add to the presentation, it goes with, bless you, it goes without saying that the Levy team are all focused on doing amazing work, and they deserve an amazing infrastructure to support the work that they're doing. So the bond team has come together and talked about the timeline and the schedule, and as a result, we are looking to accelerate the work at Levy Middle School with their complete renovation. So I wanted our viewing audience to hear it here first. We will have a series of meetings letting them know what that transition will look like, but Levy will be moving out of their 9 Mile location next year for the beginning of their renovation. And actually, right behind Mr. Blankenship is just a sampling of some of the materials that you will see in the newly renovated Levy Middle School when they return home in the 26-27 academic school year. So I did want to lift that in the conversation, and they've been actively involved in the renovation process, the planning process. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, people often ask why we put items on the agenda in the order in which we do. One of the things that I wanted was the Plant Moran auditor's presentation to come after the school presentation, because oftentimes you look at figures on a paper, you look at the processes and procedures that we have in place, you do a sampling of our books to make sure that we are living to all of the standards for which schools are judged, but you don't get to see the finished product. So it's important to us that you see where our dollars are going, that you audit on that piece of paper. So without further ado, I welcome to the microphone our Plant Moran auditors who are bringing us for the 6th year an amazing audit report.
I'm going to interrupt real quick because I just got a message from a couple of people watching, and one said, "How do we get our kid into Levy?" And I was like, I know that, so I just wanted to make sure that people do
So Miss Rebecca
recognize.
Luddington is in the back of the audience.
Sure.
And she is in pupil registration at the SEC building, and she would be more than happy to assist them.
Did y'all hear that? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, and thank you. It's a tough act to follow, though, but we'll do our best. So we're here tonight to present the results of the audit for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024. So this is a little bit of older information, but we think it's important to come present the information so that the community can hear the results of the audit, and we're here to answer any questions that the board may have. So we appreciate the opportunity. My name is Michael Foster. I'm a partner at Plant Moran, and I'm the lead partner on the audit engagement, as I have been for the last few years. And with me is
Michael Walsh. I'm the manager on the engagement. I've also been serving on the Southfield Schools account for a couple of years now as well.
So we're going to go through our slide presentation. I'm going to start with the quantitative results of the qualitative results of the audit. So at a high level, how did the results of the audit turn out? So if we turn to the first page, let's see if I can do it. Got it. So there are 3 different documents that are the results of the audit. The first is the basic financial statements. So the financial statements of Southfield Public Schools are the responsibilities of management, and we're engaged to audit the numbers and issue our opinion. This year we're issuing an unmodified opinion. That is the highest level of assurance that we as auditors can place on a set of financial statements. That's like getting the A on the report card. As part of the audit, we also look at the bond dollars and how they're spent and make sure that they're spent in accordance with the bond document that was and the language that was passed by the public and with the laws of the state of Michigan. And as part of doing that, we found there was no non-compliance. We also look at sinking fund expenditures. There are rules and regulations that govern those dollars. We also are happy to report we found no non-compliance as it relates to the sinking fund dollars. The next document is the single audit or the federal awards audit. So because of the amount of funding that the district receives, you're required to have a compliance audit done on those dollars. This year, our single audit was focused on 2 different programs. One, the Education Stabilization Fund dollars. The other is the Special Ed Cluster. And we're happy to report, as results of our audit, we found no findings and no question costs. Lastly, there's a document of required communications to the board. I'll highlight just a couple of items. One is that your accounting policies are included in Note 2 in the financial report and the financial statements. You have 2 very significant estimates. So Southfield Public Schools, just like every other school district in Michigan, participates in the statewide pension program. You are allocated by your payroll an allocation of the fund, the retirement fund liability, and for the OPEB, there is actually an asset. So your allocation of the MIPSR's pension liability is about $134 million this year. From the OPEB, other post-employment benefit plan, you actually have an asset of about $2.3 million. Again, this is just an allocation of what's going on at the statewide plan. It isn't a liability that someone's going to come to you and say, here's your allocation of the liability, now you need to pay it. But in accordance with the accounting standards, you're required to record your share of the plan, and then you're making contributions to that plan just like all of the other districts are on a payroll by payroll basis. We're also happy to report that we didn't encounter any difficulties in performing the audit. So from all of these perspectives, a very successful audit. Michael's now going to cover the qualitative side, the number side of the audit results. As we're going through those numbers, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to raise your question, and hopefully we can get it answered.
All right, so the next few slides here are gonna focus on some of the numbers in that financial statement. If I can change the slide. Am I pointing it at the right spot? Okay, thank you. So the first slide is really just a snapshot in time, or the governmental funds balance sheet of the district. And this breaks it out between your two major funds, the general fund, which is your main operating account at the district. The other major fund is the 2023 Building and Site Fund. I know there's a bond update here, but that's that fund is tracking those bond dollars and the spend on those bond dollars. The non-major funds, that third column over there, makes up your the special revenue funds of the district. So this would include food service fund, expendable trust fund, and student activities fund. Some of the debt retirement funds, which are used to pay down some of the debt obligations at the district. And then the non-major capital projects funds, which would include the 22 Building and Site Fund, and then the sinking fund as well. This is looking at it on a modified accrual basis. So this is really just looking at the resources that are available to use for current operations. So those asset line items, or those numbers would include your cash, your investments, prepaid items, as well as any amounts that are due to the districts and expected to be received over 60 days after the balance sheet date. And then the liabilities would include accounts payable, accrued payroll expenses, and then any revenue that's collected but has not been earned yet. So assets minus your liabilities gets you to that ending fund balance, and we'll talk a little bit about the ending fund balance here on the next slide. So this slide just breaks out that looking at the general fund specifically, and that most of the slides that we present tonight will focus on that general fund. This just breaks out the different components. So overall, the district's general fund balance as of June 30, 2024 was $13.1 million. If you break that out to the different components, unassigned is the largest portion at just under at 9.9 million, or 76%. The non-spendable amount is just a prepaid amount, so that's basically, since that money's already been spent, that gets shown as non-spendable because that expenditure will be incurred in a future period. And then that assigned bucket, that orange bucket at 23%, because school boards adopt budgets for the next fiscal year, so fiscal year 25, the initial budget would have been adopted in June of 2024. Because that budget would show revenue or expenditures in excess of revenue, that gets shown as assigned as a component of that fund balance as of June 30, 2024. So this slide I think we present every year, but just wanted to quickly touch on some of the important aspects of having a healthy fund balance. And number one is it minimizes that need to borrow to meet cash flow purposes. So anytime districts have to borrow, you're incurring interest expense. So to the effect that you can have a fund balance that covers a need to borrow, that's you're not incurring that interest expense. And this is especially important for school districts in that September month when they don't get their monthly state aid payment. If you have a fund balance to cover the need to borrow during that month especially, that could be really impactful from an expenditure standpoint. Also just allows for cash flow flexibility. Given the funding situation that we see within the K-12 environment, it's very fluid, things change year to year. So really having the fund balance to withstand any impacts from some of those revenue sources, and we'll talk a little bit about that on some later slides, but that can be really impactful. Kind of that contingency for the unexpected. From a recommendation standpoint, just want to put a couple metrics out there, and we'll talk a little bit about the district's fund balance as a percentage of expenditure on a later slide. But the Michigan School Business Officials, they have a recommendation of around 15 to 20% of fund balance as a percentage of expenditures. The board has a policy of maintaining at least a 10% fund balance. We'll talk about this on a later slide, but certainly in excess of that policy. So this next slide breaks out those same governmental funds and looks at the statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. Looking at those two major funds, the general fund, the 2023 building and site fund, and then those non-major funds that I mentioned earlier. Within the general fund, we'll look into the different components of revenue and expenditures on the next slide here, but just want to highlight that the district added about $871,000 to its ending fund balance for the year ended June 30, 2024, to come in at $13.1 million. Again, that fund balance is a percentage of expenditures. We talked about some of the recommendations, the board policy at 10%. So as of June 30, 2024, the district came in at 12.38% of fund balance as a percentage of expenditures. You also see there on the bottom of the slide there, we show the statewide average for 2023. So there's always a year lag on this as some of that information comes out. The statewide average for 2023 was 21.86%. So the district's, a little bit below that threshold there. We have seen that statewide average kind of trend upwards over the last couple of years. A lot of districts have benefited from some of those non-recurring COVID funds that we'll talk a little bit about on another slide. But just kind of wanted to point out some of those metrics for your purposes. So looking at the general fund revenue for the year in the general fund, so $106.7 million for the year ended June 30, 2024. This just breaks out the different sources of revenue. So local source revenue is the largest. That's that teal bucket at 41%. That amount is primarily made up of property tax revenues that the district receives. That number came in at about $43 million for the year. State source revenue makes up the next largest component at 38%. Most of this is some state categorical revenue that the district received, but the biggest portion of that is that foundation allowance. So the district foundation allowance was $12,410 per pupil for 2024. So that's that formula times the state aid membership or the number of students at the district gets to most of that revenue source. Federal source revenue came in at $12.6 million. Included in that amount is about $7.2 million of ESSER funds. So that's some of the COVID dollars that the district received. And then the last bucket, that blue piece at about 9%, that's interdistrict source revenue. Most of that comes from Oakland schools to support special ed funding. So now looking at general fund expenditures, so total expenditures for 2024 came in at $105.9 million. This slide just breaks it out by the different functions as defined by the state of Michigan. So kind of looking at a departmental level view. So as you might expect for a school district, the largest component is instruction. So that would be your teacher salaries and benefits and things of that nature, really resources being spent directly in the classroom. Support services makes up the next largest component at 42%. Think of this as kind of your librarians, counselors, a lot of the salaries and benefits for those types of employees. And then the remaining percentage, athletics, community services, and like capital outlay, those are generally pretty small at about between 0 to 1% on a year-over-year basis. But really, the school district being run by its employees, a lot of the cost of a school district is mainly payroll related. So I touched on briefly on those education stabilization or those ESSER dollars that the district received from a federal source. So that was all part of some of the non-recurring COVID dollars that school districts across the state of Michigan would have received coming out of the pandemic. So this slide is really meant to be a snapshot in time as of June 30, 2024, and to show all that's been awarded and how much the district has spent as of that time, really from the beginning of the pandemic to June 30, 2024. So this just breaks it out by some of the different programs that were some of those non-recurring federal programs. So as of June 30, 2024, out of the $27 million that were awarded to the district spent about $22.4 million. You'll see that ESSER 3 bucket at the bottom there is kind of the largest unspent portion. So the orange represents what's been spent. The teal is what was awarded. Those ESSER $3 districts had until September 30th, 2024 to spend those dollars. So, we're reporting as of June 30, 2024. So, the district would have spent the remainder of that award in fiscal year 2025. So just wanted to point that out. But really the main kind of takeaway from this slide is, that's $27 million that's non-recurring funds for the district and for all school districts. That was a non-recurring, federal awards that came out of the pandemic that are not expected to recur. So really maintaining the appropriate cost structure, budgeting out into future periods, knowing that these revenue sources are no longer coming into school districts within the state is especially important. So just kind of wanted to highlight that as part of this slide.
And maybe one more thing is, so the top 4 categories have all expired. You can't spend those dollars anymore. But you can see that Southfield has done a very effective job at spending those dollars. There isn't a bunch of unspent dollars that you didn't take advantage of that were allocated to the district. And then it's our understanding in the ESSER 3, there is a plan that those dollars were effectively spent in the early part of the the current fiscal year.
So this slide, just want to quickly touch on just comparing the final budget adopted by the board as of June, or for the year ended June 30, 2024, and compared to the actual. So as you can see here, actual revenues came in a little bit higher than budget, and then actual expenditures came in a little bit lower than budget. So overall, in terms of increasing fund balance, actual definitely came in a little bit better than what the original budget was. But overall, when you look at, the expenditures is a main focus from a budget to actual perspective. You see a less than 1% variance, which is, we would consider a very, very good budget in terms of total expenditures. So, we touched on the 38% of your revenue comes from that state foundation allowance. That's based on the foundation allowance set by the state, and then your state aid membership, or how many students are at the district. So just kind of wanted to show a 5-year trend analysis here of what that state aid membership that's based on your funding source over the last 5 years. And as you can see, this is a consistent trend that we see across the state of Michigan. That you see with Southfield here specifically. There's a lot of, there's lower birth rates. There's a lot more competition from private, charter, and online schools. So again, this is a trend that we see across the state of Michigan, but just wanted to highlight that just because of the impact of what that means from a state source funding mechanism, given that that's a direct input into that formula for total dollars. And then the final slide, so a lot of the slide presentation was based on the modified or governmental fund level basis of accounting. Just want to quickly touch on, there's also within that financial statement, there's also a government-wide presentation, which is a full accrual basis of accounting, meaning really that that includes any debt items get recorded as a liability on the balance sheet. Capital assets get recorded. So I'm really looking at it more as from a commercial, like for-profit type presentation that you would see for that type of entity. So just kind of wanted to quickly, the main focus that a lot of districts look at is kind of that fund level that we talked about throughout the presentation. But just wanted to quickly comment on what that government-wide basis looked like. Michael did mention that one impact on the government-wide basis is that net pension and OPEB liability and asset and that share for the district. So that only gets recorded on that government-wide basis of accounting. So when you see that kind of deficit position, every school district across the state of Michigan that participates in that MIPSR program is going to have that deficit because of how big that liability is. So just wanted to kind of quickly touch on that just for informational purposes. But as Michael mentioned, that we see that liability on a statewide level is kind of decreased over time as there's been more resources and funding to pay down that liability. And then on that OPEB plan, we've actually seen that become an asset just based on some of that funding over time, and then as well as some investment returns on that. So you see that as an asset this year for the first time. So just kind of wanted to quickly highlight that type of presentation. But I think that covers everything we had in the slide presentation, so we're happy to address any questions that the board has.
Trustees, do you have any questions? And just for the record, I don't, because I pretty much got on your nerves for 30 minutes on a Zoom call. But just as a reminder to the board, everyone actually has the in-depth financial report findings. You can contact Michael and Michael at any time. You have their email addresses, or you can get in touch with them to Dr. Green if you have any specific questions. Thank you, per the usual. You guys are always very thorough, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Trustees, as they are transitioning and we prepare for the next presentation, wanted to lift to you Report 6334. As you heard Michael and Michael mention, it's imperative that we as a district continue to look for outside funding sources separate and apart from our foundation allowance. This is just an overview of some of the new and continuing grants that the district has applied for the 2024-2025 school year. In accordance with Board Policy 6110, which is our grant funds policy, the superintendent shall apply for those grant dollars once they become available. So we've applied for a myriad of grants and have been awarded several of those, two of which are still pending. We've recently been awarded the new Clean Bus Grant, which aligns with one of our goals. So we will have 9 additional EV buses added to our fleet this upcoming school year. So thank you to Joe and the operations team for pursuing that. You heard Levy Middle School mention not having after-school tutorial funded by the district for some years, and thanks to Summer and the instructional team, we now have the 23G dollars coming to the district, which will be $760,000, affording not just Levy, but all schools within Southfield an opportunity for after-school tutorial services. We have the pre-K-12 strategic investments in the STEM career exposure. We have the mental health grant that is in effect for the second year. Ms. Lightsey spoke to that last year, all of the mindfulness activities that we have throughout the district. That grant is over $1 million, but it is over several years, so it's not as if it's $1 million award every year. We are in year 2 of 35J, our early literacy funding to close the achievement gap with our youngest scholars before they reach 3rd grade. 97J, our early warning and intervention tools. And then we had the fabulous summer discovery program in summer of 2024, whereby not one family in Southfield had to pay for summer programming. That was $1,142,000. And I am pleased to say that I signed off on something earlier today because we are applying for that $1,100,000 again for this upcoming summer. So that is listed in the pending category. We are also one of 2 districts that were approached by a private philanthropic donor to look at the possibility of expanding our community schools. So that application is pending as well, which could be over 3 years for a total of $2.725 million. So in total, we've recently applied for a little over $11 million in additional grant funds to support our scholars in Southfield Public Schools. Any questions? All right. Awesome. Well, transitioning from one Plant Moran team to the next on our agenda is that of TJ to discuss our bond projects.
Through the chair. Dr. Green, one question I wanted to ask you about the tutoring. When will that program start?
They are starting at different locations at different times once the building leaders get their staff secure for that. But the funding has been received by the district, so any day.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Sorry about that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So here this evening to go over the fall 2024 update. This is our, we do this presentation twice a year, just to give everyone an update as to where we, what we've recently finished, where we're headed with the bond. So. Thank you. Here we go. Okay. So just as a refresher, I know some of you have seen this presentation before, but just want to go through some quick highlights. So again, the bond was passed in November of 2022 for $345 million. We have looked at that bond and the promises, commitments that have been stated. We continue to look at it in terms of ways to accelerate the bond, to deliver the services sooner to the district. So part of that was to reduce the length of the bond from 10 years to 8 years. With that, the series will now be sold in 4 series as opposed to 3. So first series was sold in 2023. What we're looking to do, and the district in conjunction with PFM, district's financial advisor, have recommended that series 2 will be sold in 2 series now. So 2025 will be a portion for $50 million, 2026 for $65 million, making up that $115 million. And what that allows us to do is to continue to advance some of the projects. As Dr. Green mentioned, Levy is one of the projects that is being advanced. There are others that have been advanced along the way. So. Just some highlights of district-wide improvements. Again, architectural finishes, mechanical and electrical work throughout the buildings. There will be furnishing and furniture updates, safety and security improvements, site improvements, which schools have begun to see, and roofing, and then the listing of those facilities. Next section covers our governance, and again, we continue as things come up and we need to update the governance. We keep that as a living, breathing document to update that. And what it does is it talks about how things are governed and accounted for, the authority levels for approvals, a governance plan, how we address contracts, change management process as we go throughout the project. In terms of procurement, we have procured the majority of the large services in terms of professional services. The remaining services basically are for bid packages that go out for the various construction packages. There are pretty much have wrapped that up. Contractor outreach, our partners Barton Mallow have a contractor outreach page on their website that allows contractors to be able to get information on how they can go about qualifying to bid on the projects, etc. We have also worked in conjunction with school district's procurement group, Barton Mallow's procurement team, to host vendor fairs. The vendor fairs allowed for small, local, minority, veteran-owned firms to be able to qualify as well, to get the steps to understand what they needed to do. As we get closer to the time when the new campus, the new K-12 campus will come online, there will likely be another vendor fair to give additional folks an opportunity for that. Next slide just highlights the number of packages that have gone out and either been through design and or construction over the last year. It's a continual update and change to that process. And again, we're trying to accelerate, to spread the love around the district as expeditiously as possible. Next slide talks a little bit about some of the work that has been going on in terms of design and programming, and the boards are here to my right. These are the interior finishes that will be shown or will be experienced over at Burney, Leaving, and Thompson as they're renovated. those same schools received bathroom upgrades over the past summer. So if anyone has been in those buildings, has gone for voting, the children, visitors to the buildings can see those renovations now. A few additional packages since the summer months that have gone out. Adler stage lighting, which is actually one that will be presented tonight, and Stevenson playground demolition package. Next slide talks a little bit about key planning activities and coordination. So again, a lot of moving parts to this with keeping the district moving and the move management component of it. So we're already in planning stages for the schools that will need moves this upcoming summer. So I've got a few of those highlighted. Stevenson and their return back to the Losser location. Levy with their move to Eisenhower. McIntyre with their move of second grade to Bernie. Upper left corner, you'll see a series of images. Those are some images with our partners Fanning Howey, who is the second architectural team. They are working on visioning sessions, guiding principles, concepts for the buildings that they're working on. And so these are a few shots of some of their work in progress. They'll come a little bit earlier in early 2025 to give a more in-depth presentation to the board. Lower portion of the slide, this is some of the construction that has been going on over the summer and in the recent fall months. Stevenson Elementary is currently under renovation for anyone that's gone past there. Again, references the middle school bathrooms and also interior doors that are in the process of being updated there. And we continue with our logistics planning and coordination. Some additional images for the new construction specialty renovation projects. And these are some images from the guiding principles. The guiding principles are based on the district's portrait of a graduate. And so there are visioning sessions that are held with the schools, the executive team here at the district to talk about what that looks like for the district. Some early concept images for both A&T and University K-12. Again, these are very high-level preliminary at this point, but in terms of talking about guiding principles, looking at the buildings as they currently exist, analyzing where particular spaces are housed, where different instructional areas are used in the building, how the buildings are being used. They're documenting those processes, analyzing those, taking them apart, and talking about what it looks like in the best day of learning for students at the district. Some more project progress photos from the bathroom renovations, updates to the interior doors that are being changed out currently. Progress photos from Stevenson. Stevenson is in the process of gut renovation on the interior, some additions being added for some additional classroom space, as well as the community health center. Our ongoing projects for 2025 and beyond are under construction right now in terms of which projects we pull ahead, and so we will provide an update on that a little later, again, as part of making sure that we can do the construction while keeping you guys up and running with as little disruption as possible. We continue to look at it on a holistic basis. As Michael and Michael referenced, we have our quarterly dashboard here for the bond program specifically. And so you'll see that it has now been updated to reflect the fact that it will be 4 series as opposed to 3. And so both the schedule and the percentages on the pie chart have been updated. We've got the recent update of the overall budget project overview. That overview represents all contracts that have been approved and are underway with the district through September, reconciled through September of this year, while all expenses are up through early December of this year. We've broken out to show some additional spend by category, if you will. The construction, our construction circle here would represent architectural and electrical work that is underway at the schools. The next category is district-wide, which also covers professional services for the bond program. Next, we've got mechanical upgrades, which was a big component of the bond in terms of providing updated HVAC services for the buildings. Security is the next component, and so that is starting to come into fruition now with the with our secured vestibules and the newly acquired hardware access controls. And so the access control package was just approved last month. You'll start to see more of that pie fill up. And then the last is the technology. Again, just a reminder of move coordination services for the summer of 2025. We'll be starting those conversations with the various schools to let them know what they can expect, both before and after the moves. Continuing to work with Dr. Green and her team to see if there are any additional relocations or anything that we need to have here as well. The last slides just represent some of the communication pieces that have been put together in conjunction with the district. Folks have probably seen them around town, received them at their homes. 4x6 cards, brochures, posters. We've got the outdoor banners. There's some social media things as well, frequently asked cards, district website and updates, social media updates. Any questions from the board?
Trustees, any questions? I would like to ask a quick question, just because I've been getting this question from the community. As far as, so I saw that Levy will be preparing to move to Eisenhower this summer. So they'll go through the same process that Stevenson went through last year, and then Adler went through the same before. And then after Levy's transition, am I correct to understand that in summer of '26, we will start the project for the Lathrop campus? Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the summer of '26 would be a transition for UK-12?
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to give the community a cadence because I've been getting asked, and I know since it's a very large school, also for the Levy students, they won't have too far to go.
Right.
But the transition for some other schools is a bit of a drive. So I just wanted to let parents know that, who do have kids at that campus, that you have another roughly year and a half. Thank you for this. I do drive by the Stevenson site, and it looks good. It's continuous progress. Adler looks amazing. The bathrooms at many of the schools are a complete 180. So I appreciate your diligence and transparency and the hard work.
No problem. Just one other thing I'd like to add. While
Sure.
Levy is moving out this coming summer, there will also be work that is going on at Thompson. There will be some work that is going on at Bernie as well. Right now, we don't have a space to be able to transition them through, so we're doing that work after hours, over the summers. So a little bit longer process, but they'll be getting the same love, and hence the boards here, so.
Awesome.
Okay.
Trustees, a few things I wanted to add. One, the summer school piece, as you lifted, because of the construction happening throughout the district, we are limiting the locations that we will be hosting, where we will be hosting summer schools. So that being said, the traditional K-5 program will be at Bernie for this summer, and they do have air in that building. We will have the 6 through 8 program in the C wing of Southfield A&T, and we will have the credit recovery 9 through 12 program in the B wing of Southfield A&T. Also in partnership with Sound Mind, Sound Body, we have 3 locations for them as well to host their programming. That will be Vandenberg, McIntyre, and at the U campus for this summer. We will also be forwarding home to everyone. It's extremely important that we take care of these resources that our community has provided us to utilize, and we want to get their full life expectancy. So we're going to send home a do's and don'ts document so that our families can help work with our children. And many of our devices are now touchless. The bathrooms, for example, the soap dispensers, you put your hand under it and receive the soap portion. Our children are accustomed to manually pushing, pulling, and turning to try to get soap. So without us teaching them that these are now touchless, we have encountered some challenges with some of the devices. So fortunately, Principal Dean caught on to it really quickly. She did a video for her students, brought them all in the auditorium, and walked them through the process of how to use the new equipment that we have in the school so that we can have a longer life expectancy out of the equipment in which we're putting in the buildings. So I did just want to lift that piece as well.
And when we bring Fannie Howard before you in early 2026, we'll walk through a little bit more in depth with the transition of what it will look like for University K-12, and when they move out, we'll have that information for you as well. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, TJ.
thank you.
Okay, as TJ is returning to her seat, you did hear her mention a few times that we are seeking the board's approval to go and sell a portion of the bond for Series 2. Before we even consider this, we did speak with our financial analysis team to ensure that this will not impact our community, specifically those taxpayers that are contributing to this project. By escalating $50 million of Series 2. We have guarantees that it will not impact our homeowners as we escalate the sale of a portion of the Series 2 bonds for $50 million. The remaining $65 million in Series 2 will go to market in the spring of 2026 as originally projected. So in your packet this evening, board members, there is a resolution that we are asking for your consideration to go to market for $50 million of Series 2 so that we can continue the construction work throughout our district. You didn't copy it? You sent it to them electronically?
email.
It's in the email? Okay.
It is. Dr. Green, are you asking that we make this Report 6335 actionable this evening?
If it is the pleasure of the board.
Board members, you have Report 6335 in your electronic packet. Is there a motion on the floor to open and approve Report 6335, which will allow us to get that bond series moving a little quicker?
So move.
Thank you.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any other discussion surrounding 6335? Hearing none. Vice President, whenever you're ready, please call for the vote.
Trustee Bland?
Yes.
Trustee Holloway?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Unanimous?
As we are looking at things to open and approve, we did get a report from our auditor. Is there a motion on the floor to open and approve the audit report as presented this evening from Plant Moran?
So moved.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussion surrounding Report 6333, Plant Moran Auditor's presentation and report? Hearing none. Vice President, when you're ready, please call for the vote.
Trustee Joyce? Trustee Holloway?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Trustee Bland?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson? Yes. Unanimous.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, trustees. Next on the screen, you will see our updated staffing report and our commitment to remain transparent to our community and share the continued work with our Board of Education. You will see the staffing report district-wide for December 10th, 2024. Ms. Foster, you would advance. You will notice some changes from November, and they are positive changes trending in the right direction. I did speak with every building leader today to ensure that the information that I had and that the talent management team had was accurate and in accordance with what they had. The one ASD teacher is currently being filled by an ISSN team member. That person is actually on an alternative pathway to certification. So we are excited that that person will be remaining with the district and become certified at the completion of their program. We have the resource room teacher, and actually between the time that we did this afternoon and this evening, the resource room teacher recommendation had been sent to talent management, and Ms. Almadine did text me and say that the person accepted the position, so that person will be rapidly onboarded by our talent management team and hopefully be in position at the beginning of the next calendar year, January 2025. The ASD paraprofessional is currently being filled by a substitute, but in my conversation with Principal Dean, it was important for her to lift that particular substitute has been with those scholars since the beginning of the school year, affording those scholars continuity of services in that role. So she's very pleased with that individual providing that service. And then our speech pathologist, again, there is a shortage not just in Southfield, but throughout the entire educational industry. And through creativity and partnerships, we were able to partner with a virtual speech pathology program whereby the scholars are receiving that virtual support and additional supports through that platform. So again, Principal Dean said all things are going well there at Adler relative to staffing. Next slide, please. In speaking with Principal Bogans earlier today, there is one Mike High paraprofessional that is being filled by a substitute teacher, and there is one gym vacancy there at McIntyre that was recently created due to a transfer. He does have interviews scheduled, which will either be on Friday of this week or Monday of next week. He was waiting to confirm that date. Next slide. At Stevenson, we are with one Spanish vacancy. However, we do have a partner substitute there that is certified and providing those services. I did speak with Principal Hickman earlier. She did indicate, you may recall, during the November presentation that she had a social work vacancy, but that individual has started and doing quite well there in that position. Next slide. Bernie spoke at length with Principal Baldwin, and we do have the one ASD vacancy that is currently being filled by a substitute teacher, but we are looking into whether or not that particular person can take an alternative route to certification as well, as is the EI vacancy, again, currently being filled by a substitute teacher that may be eligible for one of our alternative route to certification programs. The paraprofessional is being filled by a substitute teacher, and the cross-categorical is currently being filled by a substitute teacher as well. Next slide. At Thompson, in speaking with Principal Eubanks, we do have one ECDD resource room that's early childhood developmentally delayed. At Thompson, currently being filled by a substitute teacher, one ASD teacher, currently being filled by a team member who again is on an alternative pathway to certification. So I wanted to lift all of that because I don't want people to think that with us having a sub in the classroom, it doesn't mean that there are not qualified people in front of our children. They are on alternative routes to certification versus that of the traditional four-year College of Education pathway afforded to us by the state. The first grade teacher vacancy, you saw that on the November presentation. It is now filled. However, that individual had to delay their start, so they are now starting on December 6th versus that that was last Friday. So they started as of the 6th because they had to delay their start. The social studies vacancy recently created, again, that individual is transferring to another building in our district on the 17th of December, which is next Tuesday. So that will create a vacancy there, and we are working with Principal Eubanks to get that filled. We have 3 resource room paraprofessionals. Again, the paraprofessionals are there to support the classroom teacher. Some have one-to-one responsibilities, but for the most part, many of them are there to support multiple children. And then we have 1 secretary vacancy there at Thompson. They are allocated 2, so they are not without a secretary. They are entitled to have a second secretary there at Thompson. Levy, you can probably deduce by the second bullet point, the social studies teacher is going to Levy, which filled a vacancy at Levy, but then created a position at Thompson in which we need to backfill. And then we have a resource teacher vacancy. However, a candidate has been identified, and we are moving through the process to get that person onboarded as quickly as possible. Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology, very pleased to show that in a school of that size, we recently, unfortunately, lost our television and radio certified teacher. That is a position that has been very, very hard for us to maintain because you have to have an industry credential in order to teach that class. So we will have that vacancy posted soon, but it's also important to note that for A&T, we've been working diligently on making sure that we get those positions filled. So last month, you saw that they had an instrumental music position. That was filled on the 9th. The vocal music position was withdrawn because they didn't have enough students interested for this semester, but that will be revisited next semester. The math position was filled by one of our retired teachers, having come back to the district. The resource room teachers, 2 of those were filled. The science vacancy was dissolved because they didn't have enough students for an additional section of science. So working together, we have been able to streamline the master schedule and ensure that all of our scholars have the appropriate staff for them there at the school. Continue. At the University K-12 Academy, we have 1 associate dean position in K-5. They've had 2 rounds of interviews, and I have interviews scheduled with the finalists on Friday of this week. KLC, we have 1 Next Step teacher, 3 SXI teacher vacancies, and 2 SXI paraprofessionals. You can see that we have members of our ISSN team covering those positions. And then at Bussey, we have 1 ECSC position that is being staffed by an ISSN team member. We have 2 speech pathologists, both being filled by partners, but being filled differently. So the one is coming in and doing face-to-face services with our scholars based on their IEPs. The other is for walk-in services. So we have people that can walk in and request services for their young scholars. And as a result, we are providing a virtual platform for those individuals so they don't technically have to walk in, but when they reach out to the school district and say they're interested in getting an evaluation for their child, we have that virtual platform for them to do so. 2 EIV teachers and 1 social worker position. I'm pleased to share that that individual has accepted the position and has a tentative start date of January of 2025. District-wide positions, our assistant athletic director, they scheduled several of the interviews. They have more to do. In speaking with our athletic director, Coach Q, she mentioned that she will have those completed before we go on break. 1 chief of talent management, we have been struggling with that position for some time. I spoke with several of you offline, and those that I've not gone into great detail with, we are looking to move that to an executive director position and eliminate the chief position so that we can have more individuals that are actually doing the work, boots on the ground, to support the ladies upstairs. Also, we are moving from a director of communications to that of a communications coordinator, and I did learn from Mr. Jackson and that team that they will be interviewing those candidates prior to us going on the break as well. That is our December update for staffing. Any questions, trustees?
So I don't have any questions. I just want to level set about this. So this staffing report is to become a mainstay of this meeting. So to the community, you should expect to see this every month, whether we have 1 or, God forbid, 10 or more vacancies on here, it is how you will be kept abreast of where we are with hiring and what we have moving forward. I've also asked that Dr. Green, since we know that coming up in February, those staff members that want to retire will be asked to inform the district of their plans. And at that point, I've asked Dr. Green and this district team to start planning for those vacancies. So roughly what that tells me is that come January, we need to start planning to see more vacancies, right? And that's the only way that you can prepare, and that should be the habit moving forward. We know that we have people retiring in February. We should be thinking about who's gonna fill those positions in February. Not June, not July, but February.
VP, just point of clarification,
Yep.
if I may. The notice to the district is by February 1 for the intent to retire at the end of the school year.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope nobody would assume that they were gonna retire in February. But we ask that we are made known of that every year. And so my thought is that we start planning in February. So for those of you who are thinking, and I heard Principal Jackson loud and clear when she said she has a lot of staff members who have dedicated many years of their life to this district, and they're ready to probably go on their next journey with their next career or traveling, whatever it may be. So that is the ask. I also would like to speak to this board. As you all know, with so many vacancies and so much bond work, oftentimes Dr. Green sits in on construction projects, and that takes up a lot of time. When we first started this bond, one of the first things that I mentioned to you all was that we needed an owner's rep. And that's something that we actually ascertained really quickly. I am finding it a bit troubling that we don't have a project manager strictly for this bond. And to be really honest, whenever I look at construction projects at my job, they have a project manager. We have a lot going on in this district that requires a lot of visibility. And so I'm asking Dr. Green to look into what we can do to actually have a dedicated project manager on the bond who is a subject matter expert in project management of construction in the bond, so that Dr. Green can put her efforts somewhere else. There are often times that we have to call her, and if she's in that meeting and something is going on in the district, we're fumbling to find out who's on first. At this point, it's not working. There's too many things going on in the district that are getting escalated because we didn't handle them right away. And so that is something that I'm asking Dr. Green to look into as well. I also would like to welcome Coach Q to this district as the athletic director. She's done a lot of work in this district as a coach, as the assistant AD, as a big sis, as an alternate mom to a lot of our players. And she gives a lot of her time year-round, so I don't think officially we got to really welcome her, but I would like to say welcome. I look forward to her getting a new assistant AD so we can really hunker down on athletics, because the fact of the matter is athletics also bring people to a district. We can say what we want about academics all day, but when you have winning sports teams and good programs, it's an attraction. So I like to support her in getting this athletic program into stellar condition and welcome. So that was that. Hopefully, during the new year, Dr. Green will update us on the project manager piece. And, until we're seeing 0, 0, 0 across the board for staffing, we will continue to get this update from her. So thank you, Dr. Green.
You're welcome. To the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say thank you to leadership, the board, Dr. Green, in reaching back to get some of our retired educators to come back to the district and support a lot of the vacancies that we had. However, we are being creative and making sure that they are compensated, because at one time it was 90 days that they had to be out. And working with our attorney and Dr. Green and board president and the board, they have come back. And parents are excited to see a lot of them, and students as well, those that have got a great history with us. So thank you, Dr. Green, for that work as well.
Moving forward, public participation. I currently only have one card in my hand, and it is labeled number 1. Is there anyone else who'd like to come up for public participation? Are there any other cards out there?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, we just,
You have to fill out a card. Oh, okay. Public participation. If you wish to address the board regarding a school-related issue that has not yet been resolved by school administration, please submit a comment card immediately. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. As a matter of fairness, speakers with complaints against individuals are asked not to mention any persons by name. Complaints concerning employees pursuant to Board Policy 9130 should be brought to the attention of school principals or other administrators before coming to the Board of Education. Your cooperation is appreciated. Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones, will you please state your address for the record?
Absolutely. Dwayne Jones, 27520 Harvard. That's in Southfield, 48076. Thank you. I had a good conversation with some people, and I think there's a misunderstanding that I don't appreciate the work that the board does. I understand and know that it's a difficult position, it's time-consuming, it's stressful, but it's rewarding as well. So I do want to acknowledge that the board puts in a lot of time, and there's a lot of intricate work that has to be done. And at the same time, I want to clear up some house cleaning kind of things. You know, the board went to, or some folks went to Las Vegas for a board meeting, and that's fine. There's no issue with that. But there needs to be some reporting on what was learned or what was brought back. I heard last time it was only that we were impressed with a presentation a charter school gave. And we don't want to be impressed by charter schools. I'm in and out of schools all the time, have been all my life. Charter schools really are a different animal compared to private, public, parochial schools. And so I wanted to highlight that. Also, some of the things that I was kind of not bothered with, but kind of irritated with was the presentations or the opportunity for people, those contracts. And so there was about $400,000 giving to if I'm correct, a card swatching system to get in and out of buildings. I don't see an issue with people getting in and out of the buildings. I see an issue with culture of the district. There hasn't been anything talked about with that. And so there were some things presented by the high school last month, and then Levy today. Those things are great. Those things are good. But those things are disjointed. There has to be a concerted effort. You know, one school can't do their own thing, the high school does their own thing, and the elementary school does their own thing. There has to be a concerted effort that's consistent throughout the district, I feel. Also, I was kind of concerned about enrollment. I think enrollment is important. I've looked at some things, and the district loses about 200 kids a year. That's $2 million a year. There'll be a point of diminishing return when we talk about this funding. And that some of these things are annual, those things are not reoccurring, and so we do need to get some understanding, and there hasn't been any reporting, anything about where our kids are, why they leave the district, how come we can't get teachers in, all those kinds of things. There has to be some study. The presentation before, all these things about from Plant Moran, there was some charts up there. I don't think anybody understood what they were talking about, especially the community. They voted, you guys voted on an issue last month, and there was an ask that, don't ask any specific questions, ask us later, those things. We don't know what was said about that. And that's $300,000, $400,000 for some contracts that nobody even knew. And one board member said, hey, can I at least look at it before I vote on it?
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
They are important. And so that's all really much I want to say.
We appreciate you.
I'm not the enemy. I'm not one to be so negative, but those are some things that need to be looked at.
Thank you.
There's some other things, but I'm out of that.
Okay. Jessica Allison. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm doing well. Would you please state your address for the record?
Yes, 23171 Beverly in Oak Park, Michigan. I can start.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just wanted to introduce, once again, I'm Jessica Allison, Thompson K-8 Academy. Finally, we have our PTSA. We are so
Congratulations.
excited. And Principal Portia Eubanks and Assistant Principal Deanna Ector, they are so wonderful. We have a team. I'm the president. We have Katie Porterfield as our secretary, and we have Erica Kidd as our treasurer. Celestine Sanders, I was able to meet her. She helped me so much. So we are just really excited. This is my first board meeting, so sorry I didn't know about the cards, but I just appreciate it. I met Ebony. I'm so excited to work with her. She's my new best friend. She doesn't know it yet, but I'm just really excited. Our parents, we've already had 21 parents sign up. About 25 parents sign up. We're doing a membership contest this week for the kids who win. The class with the most votes get an ice cream party. So everybody and the staff is so excited, and I just wanted to put that out there, just that we have our PTSA. We chose a PTSA because we want to also have our students involved. And I think that's just so important and we want to bridge the gap. And our main goal, because this is our first year, is family involvement, building our school community. And we think that's so important. So then next year we'll be on and popping. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
I did want to call attention to the alarm. So, the BUSCI's director's report, Dr. Thompson is out of town currently, and so the director's report is located in your packets. For those of you who are looking online, it's inside of the agenda, but I did want to let everyone know that they had that readily available. Action items, consent agenda. Approval of minutes, November 12th, 2024, regular board member, November 19th, 2024, special board meeting, student hearings. Is there a motion on the floor to open and approve the consent agenda?
I move that we open and approve the consent agenda.
It's been properly moved and supported. Are there any amendments or discussion surrounding the consent agenda? Hearing none, Vice President, please call for the vote.
Myself, yes. Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Holloway?
Yes.
Trustee Bland?
Yes. Motion carried. Report 6336, Educational Secretaries of Southfield, or ESOS, has reached a tentative agreement. Dr. Green?
Thank you, Board President. Yes, the ESOS collective bargaining agreement did have a wage reopener, and this will extend us through the 2026 school year.
Trustees, we have reached a tentative agreement, which is always a great thing. Is there a motion on the floor to open and approve Report 6336?
I move that we open and approve Report 6336.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussion surrounding Report 6336? Hearing none, Vice President, please call for the vote.
Trustee Bland?
Yes.
Trustee Holloway?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Information items, Report 6338. This is a bond. Oh, I did. 6337, Personnel Action Report. Trustees, you have the Personnel Action Report inside of your binder. The Personnel Action Report is also sent over to you in your packet.
Board President, if I may lift for the trustees, there are a number of individuals in this personnel action report annually as we do contract renewals for all of the unaffiliated staff. We generally bring them to you after we have reached agreements with those of our collective bargaining group. So that is why you see the vast majority of the individuals in front of you this evening.
I move that we open and approve report 6337.
Support.
It's been properly supported. Trustees, are there any questions or discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Dr. Green, you said all of these are yearly contracts?
The majority, starting on page
Yeah,
2, they are annual contracts, yes.
38 to 53.
Yes.
Okay, one other thing. Are they the average with other districts?
Actually, 75th percentile.
Yeah, we're in the 75th percentile in terms of Oakland County.
Okay, oh, thank you.
Trustees, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Vice President, please call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
You had a no. Your no has to stay there. Why? Your why?
Well, it just seems like every year the contracts are being adjusted and increased. So at what point does that stop?
They have a con.
So if I may, Board President, so the increases that you see being recommended each year are generally cost of living wages increases. It's not that people are getting, they're not members of a collective bargaining group. So to compensate our staff for the increases in the cost of living, we do bring those contracts to you annually for approval.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Board President, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's your COLA, and most companies have COLA already embedded inside. So, but she broke it out into
Broke it out.
cost of living.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Bland?
Yes.
Myself, yes. This is 4 count to 1.
Motion carried. Thank you. Report 6338, bond project number 51, Adler Stage Lighting Bond Funds. I know this was mentioned by TJ earlier.
Dan.
And look at Dan.
Good evening. While Dan is going to the mic, it's important to note that while we completed 99% of the renovations at Adler, there will still be some small pieces that we have to come back to, thus the bid pack.
That is
Dan.
correct. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Dan.
This proposal is for new stage lighting. During our renovation, it was recognized that the stage lighting needed a little love and care, and we have a fantastic electrical designer on board, and he looked at some items and wanted to upgrade the system. So we put this together with the OAC team, and this is the current bid pack. Basically, what it'll be is strictly updating the stage lighting, so it'll be better viewing, better lumens, and energy efficient for the school itself.
Awesome. Is this time sensitive, Dan? Do you guys need to order anything? Do you have what you need to get started on this project?
No, there's a bit of a long lead, short lead, actually, I'd say 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, not too
But the
bad.
actual install time is 2 to 3 weeks. So the initial plan as to not to interrupt Adler, because they actually used the stage area, that general area media center, multi-purpose area for champions.
Okay.
So what we had determined was it would be a summer project, and then we would execute that work at that time.
Understood. So, Dr. Green, am I to understand that this is gonna probably come back before us with a bunch of other things? Or are you asking that we make it actionable tonight so you guys can
Well, if
get
you'd like it off
everything
your
in?
plate.
Yes.
And it's the pleasure of the board, we could move it forward for action so that we can get it ordered and they can put it in the schedule for summer work.
Trustees, is there a motion on the floor to open and approve Report 6338?
So moved.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Vice President, please call for the vote.
Trustee Joyce?
Yes.
Trustee Holloway?
Yes.
Trustee Bland?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Unanimous?
Motion carried.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks,
Before I
Dan.
leave, I want to say it's just kind of appropriate that this last project that I'm presenting for the board, while Trustee Joyce is here, is for Adler, since that's his baby. And he's made a point of making that known. So I want to say thank you very much for all your help and support for both the team as well as the district, and me personally. I appreciate that.
Awesome. As I stated earlier, and I did talk to Treasurer Belk, the last time we were here, she had just experienced the death of a very young person in her family, and she came and showed up. This time, I did speak to her about the financial report and the monthly bill disbursement. We will be having Dr. Green's evaluation on Thursday. Treasurer Belk has made me aware that she plans on speaking to Mark Ingram to get that information, and she does apologize. I don't think anybody is ready for death, especially not of a very young person. So we will make sure to circle back around to the financial report and the monthly bill disbursement for the good of the order. So I do have a couple of things. The first one is that starting the new year, we will officially be swearing in our new trustee, Nicole Denson, and of course, Board Secretary Smith Thomas. And I just want to urge anyone who is interested in actually doing this work to have conversations with us. It's a lot of reading. What you see in front of us, we normally receive the Friday before the meetings to look through and review and ask any questions. We do travel to conferences often. There are classes that you can take. So it's really a labor of love for any of those who are interested in being an elected official. And you do lose a little of your anonymity, but it is very rewarding. So I just want to encourage those of you. I see some familiar faces often, and so hopefully if this is something that you're interested in, I think that I can speak for myself. Any questions, please just reach out and ask us. Also, our band is performing at the Holiday Sleigh of Giving on Saturday. Where is that at? The Levy Band is performing there on Saturday.
That's at the
Where is it at?
Southfield Library, and that is sponsored by the Southfield Police Department in collaboration with at least 10 other organizations, Southfield Public Schools being one.
That is awesome. And this, other than Thursday's superintendent evaluation, this is our last meeting of the year. So for those of you who are still here, we will not see you again until 2025. So I'd just like to say happy holidays to everyone, and I hope you have a great break.
Through the chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to add that for advocacy, which happens in February, some of us will be traveling to DC to advocate for different points that support our entire district, not necessarily just our district, but a lot of districts here in Michigan. Usually we band together with things that are very, very important on the docket, such as social emotional support, safety, IDA, and a few other items. So recently did a survey, and I'll be delivering more information to the board during our study session. So stay tuned, and again, happy holidays. Thank you for attending.
Well, bittersweet. We won't see you here again. I won't get to ask about Diego anymore. But I know we will, I'll see you Thursday, but not in this setting. We won't be at this table. We'll be sitting in the middle with our jogging suits on. But, I want to wish you well, Trustee Joyce. You were one of the first people when I walked in this room to smile and welcome me, so truly appreciate you. I know I'll see you around. You are at everything, and I wish you a lot of success on the library board, and I want to call it the Anti-Drug Coalition, but I know the name has changed. But I know you're doing the work to keep drugs out of our children and our community hands, so thank you for that. Thursday, December 12th, special board meeting, superintendent evaluation. Saturday, December 14th, the Essex Santa Claus Parade featuring the Southfield A&T Marching Band at 6:30. We are on winter recess from December 23rd until January 3rd. That means no school. Tuesday, January 14th, we'll be back for our organizational meeting at 6 p.m. And we will also have our regular board meeting at 7 p.m. on that day as well. This meeting is adjourned at 9:22 p.m. Have a good night, everyone.